In this video, I'll be showing you the RRIF chart that makes Canadians finally understand why delaying retirement is a mistake and how these mandatory withdrawal percentages reveal the tax trap most people don't see coming. Through working with high net worth Canadian clients who delayed touching their RRSPs until their late 60s or early 70s, I've discovered that once they see how fast these forced withdrawals climb, they realize the longer you wait to draw down your RRSP, the more the government decides your income for you. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to walk you through this RRIF chart and show you why taking action in your early 60s is the only way to prevent the government from controlling your retirement income. Let's get right into it. Let's start with what this RRIF chart actually tells us. Once your RRSP is converted to a RRIF, the government sets minimum withdrawal percentages based strictly on your age. These withdrawals are not optional. You must convert your RRSP to a RRIF by the end of the year you turn 71, and the first mandatory withdrawal happens the following year at age 72. At age 72, the minimum withdrawal is 5.4%. From there, the percentage keeps climbing every single year. By your mid-70s, it's closer to 5.8%. By 80, it's roughly 6.8%. And it continues to rise from there for the rest of your life. And here's the key point. Those percentages don't change based on your situation. They don't care whether markets are up or down. They don't care whether you need the income or not. They don't care how much tax you'll pay. But what can change is the size of the account those percentages are applied to. Because the larger your RRIF balance is, the more income the government forces you to take every year. While Canadians are starting to educate themselves more, most conversations with banks and financial institutions still focus almost entirely on saving more and keeping money invested. Very little time is spent talking about how to optimally withdraw that money later. As a result, many retirees are shocked when they take their first RRIF withdrawal and see the tax bill that comes with it. And by the time those withdrawals are mandatory at age 72, there's often very little that can be done to fix it. Understanding this chart before you hit that point is what allows you to be intentional, stay in control, and reduce lifetime tax. So the chart shows the percentages climbing, but let me show you what this actually means in real dollars. Let's move from percentages to actual income. At age 72, a $1 million RRIF forces a withdrawal of about $54,000, whether you need that money or not. Now let's look at a larger balance. A $2 million RRIF at age 72 forces a withdrawal of about $108,000. Again, this is fully taxable income. And this doesn't stop there. If there's still $1 million left in the RRIF by age 80, the forced withdrawal at roughly 6.8% is close to $70,000. Remember, this RRIF withdrawal is just one piece of your taxable income. It stacks on top of your CPP, your OAS, pension income if you have it, and investment income from non-registered investment accounts. And for many people with RRSPs this large, they do have non-registered investments generating taxable income as well. Now, here's how people end up in this situation. If you retire at age 60 with $1 million in your RRSP and you don't touch it until you're forced to, then that account grows at a reasonable long-term rate of about 6%. By age 72, that RRSP can be worth close to $2 million. So without doing anything wrong, a healthy, untouched RRSP can quietly turn into a much larger RRIF. And that's where the tax issues begin. So at 72, a $2 million RRIF forcing $108,000 of income on its own is already pushing you into roughly 35% tax bracket and triggering OAS clawbacks. So the success of accumulating a large RRSP can actually create a failure of unmanageable forced income later in retirement. And these forced withdrawals create real problems. Now, let me show you exactly what happens when they stack with other income. So CPP might be in the range of $15,000 a year. OAS might be another $8,000 or $9,000. And if you have a sizable non-registered investment portfolio, that could easily generate another $30,000 or $50,000 more in taxable income. And some retirees also have pension income. So let's walk through a reasonable example. Suppose you're forced to take about $80,000 in RRIF withdrawals from a roughly $1.5 million RRIF at age 72. Now stack on $15,000 of CPP, $9,000 of OAS, $30,000 in investment income, and $24,000 from a modest defined benefit pension. That puts total taxable income around $158,000. At that level, every dollar of income above roughly $95,000 is subject to the OAS recovery tax. That means you're losing 15 cents of OAS for every additional dollar of income until OAS is fully clawed back around $156,000. On top of that, you're now into marginal rates, tax rates around 45%. And here's the part that most people miss. This problem doesn't get better as you age. It usually gets worse. RRIF withdrawal percentages continue to rise every year. At 75, the minimum is higher than 72. By age 80, still higher. And if investments perform reasonably well, the forced income can keep growing. Meanwhile, CPP and OAS increase with inflation. Pensions may increase with inflation. So income stacking compounds over time. This doesn't usually mean you can't afford retirement, but it does mean less control, higher taxes, more OAS lost, and less left for legacy, and a lot more stress when tax time rolls around. Now that you see how the stacking works, if you want help building your dream retirement as a whole, click the link below to book a call where I'll analyze your specific situation and show you how to optimize your plan altogether. At this point, the old age security issue becomes very clear. OAS isn't lost because you did anything wrong. It's lost because income stacks too high. Once your RRIF withdrawals begin, that income is fully taxable and unavoidable. It stacks on top of that CPP, it stacks on the investment income, it stacks on top of the pensions. And once total income crosses the OAS threshold, the government starts taking 15 cents of OAS clawback for every additional dollar of income, as I mentioned. So here's the key problem. If you only realize this is an issue at age 72, it's already too late. RRIF minimums are mandatory. There is no opt-out. You can't reduce them in a bad market year. You can't delay them because income is high for another reason one year. Once RRIF minimums start, the government is deciding how much income you take, whether you need it or not. And that's why this isn't an age 72 problem. It's a planning in your 60s problem. And that brings us to the most important part of the entire discussion. Your 60s are the last window where you still have real flexibility before CPP starts, before OAS starts, before RRIF minimums begin. During this period, even with a large portfolio, many retirees find themselves in lower tax brackets than they'll face later. That creates an opportunity. You can decide how much income to take, where it comes from, which tax bracket you want to fill up to, how much remains tax deferred. And this is where intentional RRSP withdrawals come into play. Not massive withdrawals, not draining the account, and not ignoring tax deferral, but strategic withdrawals to fill lower tax brackets. And here's why that matters. Whatever's left in your RSP at the end of the year you turn 71 must be converted to a RRIF, as we already talked about. The balance at that point determines every mandatory withdrawal for the rest of your life. So once you turn 72, the minimum withdrawal is fixed. You lose control over timing, you lose flexibility during the market downturns, you lose the ability to smooth income around tax events. But if you plan earlier, you can reduce the size of that RRIF before the rules lock you in. So as an example, if you would have had a $1 million RRIF at age 72, but through a decade of intentional withdrawals, you reduce that to $600,000, then every forced withdrawal for the rest of your life is roughly 40% lower. That means less income stacking, less OAS clawback, lower lifetime taxes, more money outside of registered accounts, and ultimately more control over your retirement income. And once people truly understand how this chart works, the hesitation disappears. You stop seeing RSP withdrawals as losing tax deferral and start seeing them as buying back control. Now, I want to reiterate, this strategy is not for everyone. If your portfolio is, modest, if you expect to spend most of your assets, or if taking money out now would push you into higher tax brackets, then keeping money tax deferred may absolutely be the right decision. But for Canadians who've saved over $1 million, who are unlikely to spend everything in their lifetime, and who don't want Ottawa deciding how and when they take income, this kind of proactive planning often has a 6-figure plus benefit. Lower taxes, more government benefits cap, more flexibility, and more left for beneficiaries. Now that you've seen the RRIF chart that makes Canadians stop delaying retirement and understand how mandatory withdrawal percentages climb from 4% at age 65 to over 12% by age 90, forcing massive taxable income, triggering OAS clawbacks, and handling control over to the government, you could take action in your early 60s before these forced withdrawals lock you in. And if you want help building your dream retirement, click the link below, book a call where I'll analyze your situation and show you exactly how to optimize your retirement plan. And I'll see you in the next video.